Shifting focus now, Ukraine is facing growing pressure on the battlefield even as Volodymyr Zelensky pushes for fresh US support and a new push for peace. Ukraine's new acting defense minister has acknowledged that Kyiv cannot match Russia punch for punch and must rely on asymmetric strategies. And the remarks coming as Zelensky met US President Donald Trump in Washington for the high-stakes talks aimed at reviving the stalled peace efforts. Ukraine's acting defense minister, in fact, said Kyiv cannot fight Russia on equal terms because of the huge gap in resources. In an interview with a US blogger, he said Ukraine must focus on asymmetric tactics that impose a higher cost on Russia than they cost Ukraine to execute. Follow Ukraine's claim that its drones hit oil refineries and logistics centers in the Russian cities of Perm, Ryazan, and Taganrog. Overnight, Ukraine security forces said it hit the oil refinery in Russia's Perm, more than 1,500 kilometers inside Russia. The facility, remember, is one of Russia's largest refineries and supplies fuel to both civilian as well as military operations. The developments coming as Russia continues to make gains on the ground as well. Moscow says its forces captured 2 more communities in the Sumy and Donetsk regions during the past 24 hours. According to Ukraine's Air Force, overnight, Russia attacked Ukraine with 229 strike drones from various directions. And according to Kyiv, its air defense forces shot down or neutralized at least 65 Russian drones in the north, south, and east of the country. Zelensky, however, insisted that Russia is losing the initiative in the war because of heavy losses. Listen to this.
Putin is losing 30,000 his soldiers per month. This is big, too much losses, like President Trump says. It's many losses, but he doesn't want to stop this war. So now initiative not in the hands of Putin. And this is the main thing what been changed.
Zelensky made the remarks during his visit to Washington, where he also held talks with U.S. senators on tougher sanctions targeting Russian energy revenues, a measure that later reportedly won strong support in the Senate. During the visit, Zelensky also asked the United States to provide Ukraine with 300 Patriot interceptor missiles before winter to strengthen its air defenses. Analysts believe that his discussions with Trump also included the possibility of a ceasefire covering long-range airstrikes, as both sides explore ways to restart the stalled peace talks as well. Imagine a government allegedly spending over $31,000 US on maintenance of gardens at a private residence of a prime minister. That too during wartime. This very scenario seems to have unfolded in Israel, with fresh data also telling us about the extent of government expenditure allegedly on Prime Minister Netanyahu's residences. As per the information received by an NGO named Movement for Freedom of Information, more than $882,000 US were allegedly spent by the government on residences of Netanyahu since January 2025. And this, by the way, allegedly includes the house on Gaza Street in Jerusalem where he lives. In fact, his private home as well, the official residence on Balfour Street, and some service apartments reportedly. Now, looking at 2025 alone, over $642,000 US allegedly spent on the Prime Minister's homes, while salaries accounted for 74% of these funds reportedly. The rest were maintenance and operating expenses. There is a catch, though. Details of suppliers were not disclosed for nearly 45% of this category of expenses in the name of national security, reportedly. Apart from the gardening expense mentioned, the state allegedly spent over $4,400 US on replacing a bathtub at Netanyahu's home, reportedly. Although food purchases were the single largest expense in 2025, the NGO flagged an anomaly. 76 food orders were allegedly received on the 16th of June last year, even though no official event was reportedly held that day. And what also added to the intrigue was that the name of suppliers in all these orders was blacked out allegedly. That's not all. In the first 6 months of 2026, funds worth over $238,000 were allegedly spent on Netanyahu's homes. While the amount may look smaller, the pace of spending so far indicating that annual operating expenses could be higher than last year. This year as well, food expenses accounted for a major chunk of the expenses, reportedly. However, about $4,800 was spent allegedly to replace another bathtub. Although the NGO had also sought copies of invoices and receipts for these expenses, reportedly the Prime Minister's office allegedly rejected this request, citing that there is no obligation to provide these documents. Also, why are these developments significant? According to the NGO's CEO, it's vital for the government to be fully transparent regarding public expenses at a time when people have been coping with a heavy economic burden and the consequences of war. With Netanyahu already facing the heat over the war and corruption trials, the opposition also is likely to rake up the issue of expenses on the election campaign trail. Onto a special report. Thailand is reportedly set to abandon one of its biggest infrastructure projects. A fresh government review concluded that a $30 billion proposed land bridge project aimed at bypassing the Malacca Strait is no longer financially viable and could cause serious environmental damage. Let's break it down. The Thailand government now planning to scrap this mega project, which basically aimed to create a 100-kilometer transport corridor linking the Gulf of Thailand with the Andaman Sea. The plan envisioned to cut shipping times between the Indian and Pacific Oceans by allowing cargo to bypass the busy Malacca Strait. The strait, stretching around 930 kilometers, encompasses countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia. It is, in fact, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points and connects the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Overall, it facilitates nearly 40% of global trade and serves as the shortest sea route between East Asia, West Asia and Europe. So that's the significance of the strait. Announcing the decision at a news briefing, Thailand's finance minister said a government committee has recommended terminating the project after a revised study found it would lose money overall. And this marks a sharp reversal from an earlier assessment that reportedly projected major economic benefits. The latest review also found the project's expected financial return had allegedly dropped to less than 5% from 8%, while projected cargo volumes were up to 16% lower than earlier estimates. Thailand's finance minister also said 9 of the world's 10 largest shipping lines have already invested in rival projects, leaving little commercial interest in Thailand's proposal. The $30 billion project had envisioned 2 new deep-sea ports, one on the Gulf of Thailand and the other on the Andaman coast, connected by highways, a 90-kilometer standard-gauge railway and other transport links. The railway alone was designed to handle up to 20 million tons of cargo every year. The study reportedly further warned that the project could damage environmentally sensitive areas, including biosphere reserve and wetlands, while also threatening key marine tourism sites. Instead, the Thailand government will be upgrading the Ranong port and build a rail connection linking the Andaman coast to Thailand's existing railway network to improve the freight transport. The recommendation will now go before Thailand's Prime Minister and Cabinet for approval, and Thailand's government claims it has suffered no financial loss because it never acquired land and construction never started for this proposed project.